yeah, before I get into the important things, like talking about my book and how well I write, I wanted to finish up on the what I was saying about job hunting in this climate, in this economic climate. It isn't so much that uh, I always tease when I apply for a job that maybe they don't have their quota, you know. And if they don't have their quota, I'm three quotas: old, black, female, you know. And if they don't have their quota, that's what I'm hoping that they'll hire me because they don't have their quota. So with me, they'll have three, and they don't have to worry about it. And I have no problems being the only black person working around whites or non-black people, none whatsoever. Never have. Um, I was raised around dignified people, and I hold myself with a lot of dignity. I don't jungle boo boo. I don't coon. I don't do those sort of things. Um, I hold my own, and but it's never been a problem for me. Also, it's not so much that people are prejudiced. I mean, they are. But I mean, it's not so much, especially in the workplace, it's not so much that they're prejudiced. It's more that, like I said before, they don't want to hire anybody that's going to be trouble. Like, they don't want to hire a young woman who just got married because they figure she's going to start having babies pretty soon and it's going to be out, and then you can't give her job to somebody else, but she has to have the same job when she comes back, and it's all this drama, and companies don't want to deal with this. um and people pretty much want to work around people that are like them, especially when you well, the funny thing about it is, just like where I used to work at the paper company that started with a W, and it wasn't Willamette. But at the entry level, there was all race, creeds, and colors. But as you got higher, as you got into the executives, as you got into the managers, as you got into these kind of people, they were all white men. It might be a woman like stuck in there, once in a while. But they don't want to hire. And oh, and ladies, let me tell you something. When someone calls me Mrs., my last name, I immediately, correct them and tell them it's Miss. I don't like Ms. Ms is ridiculous. 99% of the time, the only person that uses Ms. is a married woman. And if your name is Lucy Smith hyphen Jones, everyone knows you're married. Stop it. Stop it. It's stupid. Either take your husband's name or keep your maiden name. I would never change my name. It's no way I could ever change my name. I'm 60 years old. If I got married, no. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Maybe the hyphenated thing, maybe. But ladies, no. And on that same note, people, please stop naming your kid Quishalika. Employers look at the resume and they know they're black. Okay, stop that. Don't do that. That's you're setting your kid up. To be prejudiced against for the rest of their life. Somebody can look. I mean, they can't. If they look at my resume, they really can't tell. And if they look at my resume, number one, they can't tell how old I am because I didn't get my master's until '09. On top of that, I have a very English, and I mean England-ish name. So they can't really tell by that. And by the jobs that I have had, they can't really tell, by that. So, um, kind of neutralize yourself, okay? Just don't. Let me see. Oh, yeah, and I was talking about prejudices. And like I said before at the end of the other tape, people they don't want any trouble. They don't want any trouble. And a lot of times that will work to your advantage after you get the job, because there was a situation where my best friend worked her supervisor was a gay Hispanic man. And I mean, he just did his thing. He came to work when he felt like it. He left when he felt like it. He'd go to seminars and stuff. Wait a minute, I got a drink. So lemonade. He did whatever he wanted to do, and they were afraid to fire him. They were afraid to fire him because, like I said, he was a gay Hispanic man. And I used to tease me and my friend. She'd be saying, "Oh my gosh, he's gone again. Oh my gosh, he did this, he did that." And I used to always say, yeah, if he was a 32-year-old white man, he'd have been fired, by now. Um, but they were afraid to fire him, and that's why I said I'm thinking about. But the only thing about that's why I was saying I was thinking about putting a temporary color in my hair to cover the gray, and then just let it wash out after I get the job. But then I thought about it. That's unnecessary because they have to ask you for your birth date to run the background check. So they'll know how old you are anyway. And soon as they as soon as they see that 1955, I'm done. But I don't. But the reason why I actually where I get this information from, I read a lot of things, and it was an article written by a woman who had worked in HR for many many years, and she was saying that she does not hire young married women for that very reason. She doesn't hire anybody that's outwardly gay. I don't know how you could tell. I mean, lamna written across their forehead. I don't know how you could tell. You know, but for the same reason, they don't want any trouble. She didn't hire minorities, and it wasn't that she had anything against minorities. She didn't hire minorities for that very same reason. um and older people, she said she didn't hire because they were behind in technology and didn't want to learn about technology. Absolutely ridiculous. Older people like me are fascinated by the new technology. I can't get enough of it, but it's just some things I don't care about. It's just some stuff I just don't care about. Like I don't care about staring down at my telephone constantly, going online and fooling around and Facebook on my phone. I don't do that. I don't think that's necessary. But I mean, I know how to do that. I know how to do those things. I know how to do those things. I you know, just not interested. So that's enough ranting about the job market. I'm trying to think. It was this article was really really fascinating. It really gave me an insight into how HR people think. You know, and it was one more group she didn't hire. Well, of course, everybody's afraid of black men, so you can't have any black men anywhere because everybody's terrified of them. Um, I hope you recognize the sarcasm. But yeah, so that's why even in this day and age, it's not so much that they're blatantly racist. They're still racist, and the bigger the company, the more established the company, the more likely it is to be a good old boys club. So let's see. What I wanted to talk about, the important stuff now. My rant is over. Um, is descriptions. Now, I'm not one for describing down to the minute detail of what my people look like. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think, yeah, I mean, I have yet to describe a person as, she's 5'9" and, she weighs 160 pounds and, I don't describe people like that. Once it's especially like in autumn and especially in the new book where race is part of the plot of the story, where race makes a difference, put it that way, in the story. Especially in autumn, as far as the owner of the store in the town is a black man. His family and his children go to school, with the white children. The And this is the early 1820s, and the his oldest daughter goes with the, with my hero and heroine to, she goes with them to New Orleans, and then she goes with them to, actually, to England. And the fact that, my character is black because she was a slave, that's important, and that her man is blonde and tall and blonde, and that kind of thing. But I don't uh just sit down at it. I've read people describe stuff like that, and I'm like, why are you doing that? It's other ways to to get your point across as to what a person look like and what's going on, if they're wealthy or not. I actually read in a book, this woman said, I had on my expensive suit. And I remember staring down at the page going, no, she didn't. No, bad writing. Bad writing. What she should have said was something like, I was wearing my Dior suit. We all know that's an expensive suit. She could have said, I'm wearing my Chanel suit, and we would have known that that's a very expensive suit. You don't have to say something's expensive. You say what it is. If someone looks down at their Rolex, we know that's an expensive watch. You don't say, I look down at my expensive watch. That's bad writing. Also, as far as clothing is concerned, I actually read one time a description. Someone said that the woman had evidently she had some kind of braid around her costume, whatever it was, like a yeah, like braid, like trim around. And the person actually described it as being 3 inches wide and 5 feet long. And I just sat there staring and I'm thinking, this book's been published, I'm the best writer in the world and I'm not published, and this crap is published. That frustrates me that frustrates me a lot. That really does. When I pick up a book and I read some junk and I think, I'd never write that. I'd never write that. So I'm going to give you an example. Now, like I said, I don't have a lot of the new book. When I did that quote, I was right. That quote, Thomas Harding, while much is too strange to be believed, nothing is too strange to have happened. And that's the quote in front of my new book. So, what I wanted to read was a little teeny bit of something. This is when he is, remember I told you they're at the spa, and when he leaves her and goes back to Germany right before the war starts, because she doesn't know anything that the war is going to start. And she says, he says, I have to leave. And then she says, leave? Why? Where? She glanced over his shoulder at his Mercedes sedan waiting in the driveway. The luggage rack was packed, the chauffeur standing by the open passenger door. The man himself was dressed for traveling, jolpers, Hugo Boss tweed jacket, leather riding boots. Okay, right then you know what. Okay, first of all, he's styling. He's wealthy. He has a chauffeur. His luggage rack. He's leaving. His luggage rack is somebody's cheering. The honks must be doing good. Um, and he has a Mercedes. I mean, this is how you describe things. This is how you describe things. You don't now sometimes you have to set a mood. So you have to kind of describe what's going on. Now, that's a different thing. Actually describing what something looks like is bad writing sometimes. But okay, wait, I'm going to find a passage that when she comes out of the subway after this has all happened. Okay, let's see. I'm not going to say my character's name, so I'm going to say she, but I actually put her name. Occupied Paris early spring 2 years later. She stepped out of the metro into a mild early morning drizzle. It occurred to her how some things never change. Paris still had the same distinctive smell an unexpected shower brought, the aroma of baking bread, mingled with garlic and tar oil from the road. Just as this thought crossed her mind, a truck rattled by and her eyes followed it up the street. Except for that, she finished the reflection as the German convoy passed out of view. Now, you know exactly what's going on. She's come out of the metro and she's it's just like here it's raining all the time, And she comes out, there's a little well, what actually I was thinking, well, this is what I asked myself when I'm getting ready to describe something. What would you smell? What would stepping out of the metro, the Paris subway, what would it smell like? What would it smell like? And I thought, okay, it would smell like food, cooking, even though there wasn't very much food at the time of the occupation. But she um the tar from the road, you'd smell that. The rain would make that kind of come up to you. Food, cooking, um bread baking. I think I said, yeah, bread baking, garlic, the oil from the road. And she says to herself, some things never change. But then what happens? Her a convoy of trucks, they're occupied, rattles by, and she goes, "Ah, except for that." And I think that's an insight into her personality, like I was talking about in one of the other tapes. She um, is trying to go on like this isn't going on around her. You know what I mean? She's trying to carry on with her life and kind of put in the on the back burner all the things that are going on around her, because if she stopped and thought about these things, and she dwelled on these things, and thought about these things like that, she wouldn't be able to carry on. She wouldn't be able to just to function. She wouldn't be able to do the things she has to do. um let's see. And she crosses the street, and she yeah, I'll read a little bit more of this. I don't want to really get into it because we're running down in time, but I'll read a little bit of this. She crossed the street and headed down the alleyway leading to the stage door of the cabaret. Some fans loitering on a corner recognized the popular entertainer, so they smiled and waved. She returned their greetings. um that's how I let people know that she was a entertainer. I didn't mention that in the prologue, that she was an entertainer. The only thing I mentioned in the prologue, and I mean, and by this time, you really don't know that she's black. And I never say a black woman is walking down the street. I never say that. That's bad writing. Um, and then she goes to the she comes to the stage door, and actually what she's wanting to do is to sneak in and hurry up and go upstairs, because she doesn't want, like I said, Madame is always on her, and she just came back from the country visiting her kid. But of course I don't say that. She comes, she's trying to get in the stage door. She wants to sneak upstairs, and get ready, because okay, by this time she knows he's coming, because I said something in the paragraph above about the sweetened air lent itself to the romantic mood she was in, and not even an ostentatious show of strength, symbolic chest beating by the victors could dampen the longing inside her. That's a real good sentence. That's a good sentence. So I'm going to let that go for now, and then we'll come back and we'll go over what I've written, and I'll talk about some more description stuff in a minute.